Take a look at this. A man pulls into his driveway and is carjacked in less than 30 seconds. Next at 4, our team continues to shine a spotlight on a surging number of victims to crimes like this and how criminals are now using their phones to target more people. Then our team is taking a closer look at a push from county leaders that could limit investigations by the Inspector General and how the chairman is defending the decision.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 4.
First on Fox tonight, new video of another carjacking in Baltimore. Take a look at this. You can see the victim pull into his driveway late at night. Then, from around the corner, a group of suspects pull up and block his exit almost instantly. The suspects then threaten him with what appears to be a gun. It all happens in less than 30 seconds. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Tonight we're asking, where's the from public officials as every day a new story involving a car theft or carjacking comes into the Fox 45 newsroom. The numbers we're seeing from Baltimore police tell that story. According to Baltimore police, so far this year, there have been more than 10,000 cars stolen across Baltimore. That is up 222% from this time last year. On top of those thefts, there have also been more than 520 carjackings.
Fox 45 has heard from a number of victims saying something needs to be done. One of them shared her story of barely escaping when a group of people tried to force her out of her vehicle.
And the passenger exited the car quickly, sprinted up to my driver's side and pointed a gun at my head and said to exit the vehicle. I put the car in reverse and reversed basically as fast as I possibly could.
That happened in Roland Park over the weekend, and it's not just Baltimore. We've heard similar stories from victims of carjackings in Baltimore County and also Montgomery County. One woman from just outside of Baltimore told us she was walking between her home and her car when she was beaten with a gun and had her vehicle stolen.
And I saw a pistol in his hand. And I said, and he said, "Give me your keys, give me your keys." And I'm like, and the next thing I know, he hit me in the head. And I went down. These kids don't have consequences. And that's what makes me very angry. And I am furious. And I'm going after these. I want to prosecute. I want to see some type of retribution.
Victims also telling Fox 45 fear of getting carjacked or having their vehicle taken goes beyond just their physical safety. It's also about what happens after their car is stolen.
It's not just property theft. It's not. If you don't own your home, your car is the most valuable thing that you probably own. And it's not a luxury. It's the way that you get your kids to school, that you go to your job.
I mean, these guys go around stealing these cars each and every day, tearing people's cars up, and we got to dig in our pockets for something that they done destructed. Right. It's not right.
I don't think if they understand the ripple effect of everything that they're doing. Like, you're not just stealing a car, you're stealing someone's safety, their sense of security.
Well, we have team coverage on the crime crisis. Alexa Ashwell is looking into the danger of rideshare apps and how teens are using them to pick their next targets.
But first, let's go to Mackenzie Frost with more on that carjacking video you're seeing first on Fox. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, the video is clear. From what we can see on it, the suspect seems to have had this all planned out. Let's take another look at the video. In just seconds, you can see the victim pull into the driveway. He's quickly blocked in by two people who jump out of the backseat of that red car. It looks like one of the suspects has a gun. The driver is forced out of his vehicle, and moments later, the suspects drive off in that vehicle. And this entire incident played out in Senate President Bill Ferguson's district. And when we've questioned the Senate President about this, he says he remains confident that he believes lawmakers will be able to address the concerns that we continue to hear from stakeholders who are involved in this growing juvenile crime crisis. But the details of the plan remain secret. At least they're not talking publicly about what they plan to do.
What's very clear to me is we're going to fix this problem. We are talking about a few hundred kids and families that we just have to get the right supports and wraparound and accountability so that communities feel safe, but most importantly, that kids change their behavior. Because right now, we've got to send the message that to be very, very clear to young people, this can't continue. This will not continue.
Now, this incident is just one example of what we continue to hear from people all across Baltimore City. Coming up at 5, we'll take a deeper dive into the data and really see what's going on, not just in Bill Ferguson's entire district, but as well as his neighborhood. But for now, we're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. Last night, Baltimore police announced more juvenile arrests for carjacking. 4 teens were taken into custody in connection with their role in an incident near Druid Hill Park. Kids have been a major contributor in the spike of car thefts, according to police. Data shows young people are responsible for nearly 40% of all stolen cars in the city. City police report juvenile car thefts up more than 166% from last year. The victim in the Druid Hill Park carjacking is a rideshare driver.
That's right. Alexa Ashwell is here now in studio. Alexa, this is yet another example of a young person using an app to commit a crime, right?
Yes, Mary, in this latest case, police say investigators arrested 4 male teens, 2 of them just 14 years old. The suspects accused of using the rideshare app to assault and carjack a 44-year-old man. 4 teens taken into custody after investigators say they used a rideshare app to gain access to the driver, assaulting him and then stealing his car here in West Baltimore. It's the latest example of juveniles utilizing an app or website that offers a good or service in order to commit a crime.
Oh my God, that's sad. My heart hurt.
Just last week, Pennsylvania teen Carlos Carazana Ricardo was shot and killed after answering an ad placed on Facebook Marketplace. Investigators say he drove to West Baltimore to potentially buy a car and instead lost his life.
That truly messed up my head because I've been trying to buy stuff off of Facebook Marketplace for a while.
Police have since arrested and charged Marquise Harris with his murder. And in another case, investigators say 3 teens pretended to want to buy a pair of shoes placed on the website OfferUp and instead robbed the seller in East Baltimore. At the time, investigators say one of the juveniles was wearing an ankle monitor and under the supervision of the Department of Juvenile Services.
So I think we're seeing a trend in many cities across the United States, period.
That trend, an increase in juvenile crime. So much so, the U.S. Marshal Service says the federal agency is getting more involved in tracking down juveniles wanted for violent crimes.
Most recently, we're seeing an extraordinary uptick in violent crime involving juveniles. As short as last week, we've had 3 fugitives come across our desk that are just the age of 17.
One of those cases, the OfferUp ploy. Just yesterday, agents say they took a 17-year-old into custody.
We want to work with our local partners to take these violent individuals off the street, regardless of their age.
In fact, in all 3 of these cases, an arrest has been made. But what happens next, how the juvenile is held accountable, many argue is a big part of the juvenile crime crisis. Now, in this latest rideshare case, the driver's car was later located. Investigators say all 4 teens were transported to the Department of Juvenile Services. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. That brings us to our question of the day. Have lawmakers waited too long to address the juvenile crime crisis? To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Breaking news right now. The Maryland Department of Transportation is planning to suspend light rail service starting tomorrow. MDOT is holding a news conference at 5:30 where we are expected to learn more about the specifics about the suspension. Officials have not revealed why they're making the change or how long that suspension will last, but Fox 45 will bring you that announcement live as it happens.
This advisory board would not have any authority over the Office of Inspector General?
They would have to. In the amendment, it said that she would have to get approval from them before she publishes any reports.
I'm not sure. I would have to look at that one. Maybe you're right.
In an interview you are seeing first on Fox, Baltimore County Council Chair Julian Jones is discussing his leaked amendments that would weaken the office of the Inspector General. If passed, the policies would limit the watchdog's funding, operation, and ability to publish reports so the public could see them. Today, Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor pressing the county chair on why he's proposing these last-minute changes. Rebecca?
Yeah, Mary, both the county executive and the IG say that they were blindsided by these leaked amendments that they say Julian Jones made no mention of before Monday night's county council meeting. Now, you'll remember in that meeting on Monday, a vote was scheduled to finalize a pair of long-awaited bills solidifying the IG's office as a permanent position in the county. But at the last second, Jones made a motion to delay the vote for 2 weeks, allowing for any amendments to be reviewed by the public. However, at this point, that only leaves less than 2 weeks for the public to oversee changes made to a bill 2 years in the making. Take a listen to what Jones had to say when pressed on his timing.
If those amendments are placed, I will place them on the website. Everyone will see them. We will send them to the
Are
Office
they
of
published
Inspector
now?
General. Right now, they were just ideas. They were not amendments.
You're saying you want to give the public time to weigh in on these proposals?
Yes.
But you'll only be giving them, at this point, even if you propose them today, it would be less than 2 weeks that they would have to look over them.
Yes.
Is that enough time?
I think it's enough time.
Now, I also asked Jones where these changes were coming from and why they don't align with the Blue Ribbon Commission's recommendations. That's the group that Baltimore County spent 100,000 taxpayer dollars in order for them to research best practices for the IG's office. But Jones refused to give specifics. The county spent a lot of time and money having the Blue Ribbon Commission do all of this research to discover best practices for the IG's office. And then kind of at the last minute, you proposed amendments that go against those recommendations. Can you explain where those amendments came from?
Okay, so first of all, the only thing that happened Monday night was we postponed the bill. That's not unusual. We postponed a lot of bills.
You did write out a list of amendments, and you were the only council person to do so, correct?
Yes, but to be very clear, those items were not all my ideas.
So whose ideas were they?
There was a compilation between myself, other members, stakeholders.
Other members of the county council?
Other members of the county council.
Which members?
Stakeholders. I'm not going to get into all the conversations that I've had with all the members, but what I'm saying to you is it's my responsibility to put those things in writing.
Now, today I reached out to every member of the county council asking them, do you support these amendments? Councilman Wade Catch and David Marks said they do not support any of them. Michael Ertel says that he'll support some, but not all of the amendments. The rest have yet to respond. Now, still to come, I take a deeper dive into what these amendments look like and what impact they could have over the oversight on your tax dollars. Reporting live from the control room, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. The city council butting heads over a new resolution on the Israel-Hamas war, why local leaders are having such a hard time making a statement on the fighting.
New information on the UNLV shooting, what we're learning about the ongoing investigation after 3 people are killed.
And it's been another chilly day, but we have a nice warm up on the way for the weekend with highs in the 50s tomorrow and Saturday, and then the 60s on Sunday. I'll let you know about Sunday's rain coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 News, winner of 16 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Three people are killed on the University of Nevada, Las Vegas campus last night in a shooting. A fourth victim was also hurt. Now, according to authorities, the suspect was a former college professor who had applied to work at UNLV but was denied. He was killed in a shootout with police. Local leaders in Las Vegas say something has to change in the country to stop shootings like these from happening.
The fear that permeated every one of those children, every one of those professors. It's a very difficult time, and it's time for us, as the adults, enough. It is enough.
Well, late last night, local police executed a search warrant at the suspected shooter's apartment. We'll continue to update this story as we learn more.
The shooting at UNLV comes just a week before lawmakers and survivors will mark 11 years since the Sandy Hook shooting. 20 first graders and 6 educators were killed at Sandy Hook. Today, some congressional members joined Sandy Hook families to remember the victims and mark more than a year since the passage of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which is considered the most significant federal legislation to address gun violence since 1994.
That if you change the laws of the nation, you save lives, that if you continue to change the laws of the nation, you save even more lives.
It is not the result of government policy. It is the absence of action to stop gun violence.
Senate Democrats are calling for a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity
Average 57 on Saturday, then 64 on Sunday, along with rainy and breezy conditions. It'll be breezy again on Monday, but mostly dry. 48 for the high temperature. After that, 49 on Tuesday. Then for Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures close to average with highs in the low 50s. Back to you.
Jasmine, thanks. Baltimore City Council members are pushing a new resolution on the war between Hamas and Israel, just days after a different proposal is shut down, looking into the differences between the two statements on the conflict. A Baltimore County substitute teacher says the school system hurt her reputation, cost her thousands. Her fight for answers on why she was put on a do not use list. A big free agent signing helps fill one of the Orioles' biggest needs, hearing from the O's new closer as the team welcomes him to Baltimore. The Baltimore Orioles just made a key free agent acquisition. The O's bolstering their bullpen ahead of the 2024 season. Sports Unlimited Morgan Atsit joins us now with what he had to say in his welcome ceremony today. Morgan.
Yeah, Craig Kimbrel, big name. The Orioles had two major goals this offseason as they aim to repeat as AL East champs and make a deeper postseason run in 2024, starting pitching and relief arms. And they got one of those done in signing closer Craig Kimbrel. Kimbrel comes to the Orioles on a one-year deal for $13 million with an option for 2025 after spending last season with the Phillies. This is the largest contract handed out thus far by the Orioles under GM Mike Elias, and it's one he did not have to work hard on. Kimbrel and his team were the first to reach out to the Birds about joining the team for next season's run.
I saw a team with a need and an opening, and I saw a lot of opportunity. I want to win. And the Orioles want to win. We want to go deep into the playoffs. It's the same thing that I want. So when you see those commonalities, it just makes a lot of sense. You know, everywhere I look in this decision, there's a lot of yeses and a lot of good things. And when you see that, you want to be a part of it.
The O's will be Kimbrel's 8th team, 4th in 4 seasons, and he's already been told he was added to the team to be their closer with Felix Bautista out for next season. Kimbrel is a 9-time All-Star, won a World Series with Boston, has 417 saves. That is the second most for active pitchers right now. Kimbrel lives in Tennessee, right down the street from O's backup catcher James McCann, and said the two already have plans to work out together this offseason before they report to spring training in February.
Morgan, thanks. A big game for the Ravens this weekend. On Sunday, they'll host the LA Rams here at M&T Bank Stadium. A win means the Ravens will get a step closer to the 1 seed, a first-round bye, and guaranteed playoff football in Baltimore. You can watch that game right here on Fox 45. Coverage starts at 11 a.m. Kickoff, of course, set for 1 o'clock. Baltimore City Council members battling over a resolution on the war between Hamas and Israel. A new statement some are putting forward after shooting one down earlier this week.
The heat is turning up on leaders of some of America's top universities following their testimony before Congress. I'm Kayla Gaskins with what critics find so concerning. Straight ahead.
A Baltimore County substitute teacher put on the do not use list without her knowledge, costing her thousands of dollars in potential income. Why she says the school system isn't being truthful. Now to the latest on the war in Israel. Israeli forces are continuing their offensive in Gaza, trying to root out Hamas. Much of the focus on the fighting is in the southern Gaza's largest city. Israeli officials saying the fighting has been some of the most intense since the start of the war.
That fighting is also spreading into Lebanon. This is video of an Israeli airstrike. Multiple students at a school near the strike were hurt. It comes as Israel fights off attacks from Hezbollah. That's the terrorist group saying that they've targeted communities in Israel in support of Hamas.
Back in Gaza, the situation for Palestinians is growing more dire by the day. This footage showing significant damage to a northern Gaza hospital. There is tremendous stress on the country's medical system, and damage to hospitals like this one are only making treating civilians more difficult.
This comes as the country is running out of clean food and water. Since fighting has resumed, it's become difficult for aid to be delivered to areas most impacted by the fighting. Doctors are warning the lack of food and spread of disease could kill thousands.
Shelters are completely overflowing, and there's many other makeshift shelters. We've seen a rise in infectious diseases, 112,000 acute respiratory infections. We've seen diarrhea cases, which are 40, 50 times as high as normally.
Well, all of these issues are becoming more complicated because of the number of displaced people in Gaza. More than 1.7 million people have been displaced, leading to mass overcrowding in the southern half of that territory.
Meantime, there's debate here in the U.S. over the war's impact on hate speech and how local leaders are reacting. One of the battles playing out at City Hall in Baltimore now after a council member's resolution supporting Israel was shot down.
With the large Jewish population that we have here in Baltimore that is feeling very isolated and alone because of the recent events and the rise in anti-Semitism in the United States, it's important that their government can stand with them.
Tonight, we are learning council members may be planning to introduce a new resolution on the war, but this time the message could see some changes.
We have team coverage tonight on the response to the war here and across the country, starting with Amy Simpson. So, Amy, what are we hearing about a new city council resolution?
Yes, so Mary Kai, it's not on City Council's agenda tonight, but there will be a new resolution introduced about the Israel-Hamas war. I spoke to Councilwomen Odette Ramos and Felicia Porter here at City Hall today, and they tell me they're introducing that resolution alongside Councilman Christopher Burnett and Ryan Dorsey. Those are the four who abstained from voting on that resolution Monday night, which called to condemn the Hamas terrorist attack and anti-Semitism. But they indicate tonight's resolution will have a different message, calling to condemn the terrorist attack, but also condemn both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Those four officials defended their decision to sit out of Monday night's vote, claiming the measure was last minute, did not follow legislative protocol, and failed to condemn hate on all sides of this conflict. But here's what Councilman Isaac Yitzhak Schleifer, who introduced Monday's resolution, had to say after it failed.
I was asking my colleagues to condemn the terrorist attack that occurred on October 7th, where 1,200 plus Jews were killed, decapitated, murdered, raped for simply just being Jewish. And the second thing it called for was just to condemn anti-Semitism. Two simple things. It's just shocking that in the year 2023 that anybody has a hard time condemning terrorist attacks and hate against anybody.
Now, Councilman Schleifer called that failed vote a double standard on Monday night, pointing that City Council unanimously passed a similar resolution to condemn terrorist attacks on mosques in New Zealand just 4 years ago in 2019. Mary, Kai.
And Amy, after we saw what happened at City Hall on Monday night with Councilman Schleifer's resolution, what's the likelihood of this resolution passing?
So today here at City Hall, I asked both Councilwomen Odette Ramos and Felicia Porter if their resolution will have enough support to pass, and their response, we don't know. Council is set to have their meeting get underway tonight at 5 o'clock. We're live at City Hall. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. Mayoral candidate Sheila Dixon says that she's disappointed in the council for their decision not to pass the original resolution this week. In a statement on Twitter, she says Jewish people in the United States face a disproportionate amount of religious-based violence, and local leaders should be doing everything they can to stand against anti-Semitism and bigotry in all forms.
We have seen a dramatic and deeply concerning rise in anti-Semitism around the world, in the United States, and on our campuses, including my own.
That is the president of Harvard University speaking on growing concerns over anti-Semitism on college campuses. She was one of a group of high-ranking officials from colleges across the nation that testified on the issue earlier this week. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins is looking into the fallout from that hearing.
Damage control efforts underway at top universities.
We can and we will get this right.
Following intense backlash due to their leaders telling Congress that some students calling for the genocide of Jews only violate their school's code of conduct sometimes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
Swift, intense criticism ensued. On Wednesday morning, Pennsylvania's Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro calling McGill's comments shameful and calling for action from UPenn's board. At 12:09, Harvard's president releasing a statement attempting to clarify her comments, writing, "Calls for violence against Jews have no place at Harvard." The White House condemned the university president's response, saying any statements that advocate for the systematic murder of Jews are dangerous and revolting, and we should all stand firmly against them. And at 6:56 p.m., UPenn's president Liz McGill attempting a PR cleanup via video.
I was not focused on, but I should have been, the irrefutable fact that a call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
Concerns do not center on all Palestinian protests, only when demonstrators cross the line or when protesters call for an intifada, violence against the Jewish people, as they recently did at Penn and Harvard. Graffiti and chanting from the river to the sea, also problematic due to its targeted meaning of eliminating the state of Israel and the Jewish people. The slogan projected on UPenn's campus. As calls escalate for these leaders to resign, the Department of Education opening up investigations into Harvard and UPenn for allegations of religion-based harassment on campus. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Yesterday, Sinclair asked viewers across the country, do you think the presidents of Harvard, UPenn, and MIT should resign over their handling of anti-Semitic protests on their campuses? More than 7,300 people answered the poll, and 85% said yes.
For our full coverage on the war and its impact around the world, head to our website, foxbaltimore.com. A Baltimore County substitute teacher says her reputation has been damaged, costing her thousands of dollars in lost income.
As Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, this teacher says the school system made a mistake it won't correct.
Jen Reedholm sat down with Project Baltimore.
Yeah.
Because she's out of options.
I don't know why I can't get a straight answer.
For 6 years, she's been fighting to clear her name.
There's an incident attached to me that doesn't belong to me.
A fight against her own employer, Baltimore County Public Schools.
That makes no sense. But Baltimore County Schools doesn't seem to make a lot of sense most of the time.
Reedholm began substitute teaching for BCPS in 2017. Specifically, she wanted to work at Warren Elementary in Cockeysville, her community school, where her own children went.
It was in my neighborhood. I knew the community, I knew the children, I knew the teachers.
Warren Elementary, like many schools, struggles to find substitute teachers, and Reedholm wanted to help. But after getting her teaching certificate, she noticed she wasn't getting any job opportunities at Warren. Not understanding why, she started asking questions and learned her name was on the Do Not Use list.
What did you think when you found out that you were on the Do Not Use list?
I didn't know what to think. I just wanted to know why. Why would I be on such a list? I mean, what could I have done ever?
For the next 5 years, Reedholm tried multiple times to have her name removed, but all of her attempts failed because the initial principal who put her on the list in 2017 left the school. And each principal since has relied on that 2017 account of what happened. Finally, in October 2022, Reedholm learned why she was put on the list in the first place when she received this letter from BCPS Central Office. The letter described an unsafe incident that occurred. According to the letter, she left a class she was responsible for unattended while working at Warren Elementary. But Reedholm says that never happened. It's impossible. For one reason.
I never substituted at the school, and I have proof.
The district has not told Reedholm the exact date of the alleged incident, making it more difficult for her to disprove. But this is Reedholm's online employment history. And you can see, according to BCPS's own records, she never worked at Warren Elementary.
What do you want?
I want my record cleared, and I want to be removed off the do not use list.
Project Baltimore reached out to Baltimore County Schools asking why Reedholm was on the do not use list when she never taught at Warren Elementary. We received this reply. Baltimore County Public Schools cannot discuss personnel matters. We encourage Ms. Reedholm to follow up with the Division of Human Resources for further assistance. Reedholm has contacted BCPS again. She hopes to quickly resolve this issue, which she says has cost her family a lot of money in lost work.
Maybe $20,000 or $30,000.
That you missed out on?
Yeah, missed job opportunities.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
But perhaps more importantly, Reedholm's name is attached to something she says she didn't do, and she wants it fixed.
I don't know what the future holds, but if there's something on my personnel file that doesn't belong to me and it could come up in a job interview, that's a problem. How am I supposed to explain that?
Reedholm, as we mentioned, was on the do not use list at Warren Elementary for 6 years. But during that time, she was still allowed to teach at other schools. If somebody did something so bad they were banned at one school, why would they still be allowed to teach at other schools? That part of the story Monday. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
A major challenge to the Texas abortion ban, why a judge just granted an exception and the chances the state appeals.
A new lawsuit accuses Facebook and Instagram of being a breeding ground for child predators. I'm Atrell Nashar with what parents need to know coming up.
And following a chilly day today, we're looking at an 11-degree warm-up tomorrow. I'll let you know how long these warm temperatures last and what to expect for the weekend in my Weather Authority forecast.
House members vote to punish one of their own. The House votes to censure Democratic Congressman Jamal Bowen for triggering a fire alarm in inside the U.S. Capitol. Now, it happened in the Capitol's office building when the chamber was in session. Bowman is the third Democratic House member to be punished this year through the censure process. That punishment is one step below expulsion from the House. Donald Trump is back in a New York courtroom at the civil fraud trial that he claims was decided against him from the start.
There's not a judge in the country that wouldn't have given us a total victory, but there's not a judge in the country that would have even taken this case. This is a witch hunt.
The defense is nearing the end of its case against the former president and his executives, accusing them of falsely inflating the value of his assets to get lower taxes and better insurance coverage. Trump was last in court a month ago. He defended his business practices and again claimed the case is politically motivated. The judge has already found Trump and his business liable for fraud, so this will decide whether Trump can continue doing business in the state of New York. A Texas judge is allowing a pregnant woman to get an abortion despite the state's ban on the procedure. 31-year-old Kate Cox requested an emergency court order to allow her to terminate her pregnancy. She's 20 weeks pregnant, and her doctors say her fetus has a fatal diagnosis. Giving birth could jeopardize her fertility. It's unclear how quickly Cox will be able to get the abortion. The decision is likely to be appealed by the state. Facebook's parent company Meta has been hit with a new lawsuit for allegedly knowingly exposing children to sexual exploitation. National correspondent Dr. El Nashar is looking into what that means for parents.
New calls for a culture shift at Meta. In this graphic complaint, which we've blurred, New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres accuses the company of horrific practices on Facebook and Instagram that he says serve as prime locations for child predators.
They're designed in a way to actually funnel likely victims of sexual exploitation to potential predators.
To build their case, his office went undercover, using decoy accounts posing as kids 14 or younger. Online safety expert Titania Jordan has done similar operations at her company Bark, which offers parental control products.
I have seen video calls coming in, because you can video call on Instagram, grown men, again, looking to speak with this 11-year-old persona. It's stomach turning.
In its response to the lawsuit, Meta says, we use sophisticated technology, hire child safety experts, report content to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and share information and tools with other companies and law enforcement, including state attorneys general, to help root out predators. Torres is asking a judge to order specific changes to how the platforms organize and feed users' content. Meta whistleblowers have made national news for sounding the alarm about what they also say are dangerous practices executives are aware of.
The more time you spend in-app engaging with the content in the app, the more successful they are, the more money they make.
Tech industry leader Adam Kovacevic argues it's a mistake to assume platforms are only after short-term engagement.
If people have an overall negative experience with their service, they're not coming back, right? And that's not what any service wants. They want people to have a positive experience on their platforms so that they return.
Meta's also facing lawsuits from dozens of other state attorneys general who allege its platforms are meant to be addictive to minors. Meta says it prioritizes teen safety and is disappointed the AGs are choosing to sue them instead of work with them on solutions. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
Well, it is beautiful outside as the sun begins to set over Baltimore, but it is very cold. 44 for the current temperature. It only feels like it's 40 degrees. Mostly cloudy with winds out of the southwest around 7 miles per hour. Now we're going to warm up tomorrow, but currently still dealing with those cool temperatures around the state. We're seeing numbers mainly in the mid 40s, but we have a couple spots in the 30s and even some higher numbers. Cumberland actually one of the high spots on the map. We're mostly dry and mostly cloudy, but we had a couple of stray showers over parts of the state, and now we're starting to see those showers taper along the eastern shore. We're going to stay dry over the next few days ahead of our next weather maker. Tonight, temperatures will drop to the 30s, many of us starting off right around freezing or slightly above that number, and it's going to set up for a pretty nice afternoon tomorrow. Our temperatures rise to 56, 11 degrees warmer than today's temperatures. Then 57 for the high on Saturday, 60s on Sunday. However, we're looking at our next chance for rain. So if you have any plans to be outside, you will want to have an alternate or maybe have the rain gear handy. Overnight, we'll have clearing skies. We wake up to plenty of sunshine in the morning, then lots of sunshine for the afternoon as high temperatures reach the 50s and possibly the low 60s for some. We'll start with dry weather again on Saturday. We'll have a mix of sunshine and clouds for the afternoon, possibly a very isolated shower. Most of us are going to stay dry. There's a better chance for a few stray showers overnight. And then as we head later into the day on Sunday, rain begins to spread across the state, and at times there could be some areas of moderate, even heavy rain. So make sure if you'll be driving for the afternoon or evening that you're driving safely. A few showers could linger into Monday morning, otherwise mostly dry for the upcoming work week. Temperatures tonight will drop to 33. Be sure to give your cars some extra time to warm up in the morning. Then for the afternoon, a pretty nice day as temperatures rise to 56. That's above average for this time of year, and we're going to keep that above average pattern all weekend long. 57 for the high on Saturday with partly cloudy skies, then 64 on Sunday with the chance for rain. It'll also be breezy at times. Then we're in for a cool down for Monday, 48 for the high with breezy conditions, then 49 on Tuesday and the low 50s on Wednesday and Thursday. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, new worries over whether or not America is ready for a fully electric country. The controversy surrounding a new rule approved this week by the Biden administration.
Are you tired of your job? So are a lot of people. I'm Angela Brown in Washington, D.C. Why a new survey says the Great Resignation 2024 could be even bigger.
It seems round 2 of the Great Resignation could hit companies in a few short weeks as workers look to change jobs at the beginning of the year. The National Desk Angela Brown examines a new survey.
We were talking about the Great Resignation this time last year. Now a new survey is saying the Great Resignation 2024 could be even bigger. The question is simple. Are you satisfied with your job and plan to do something about it? We're going through this new report called The Voice of the Workforce. They surveyed 1,100 full-time workers. 58% plan to look for a job in the next 12 months. Career specialist Julie Balke.
The beginning of COVID, the Great Resignation, there was literally just a constant shuffle going on. I don't think we will see that level of activity ever again. But we will never go back to what we were before, whereas people go places and stay.
But is now the best time to job hop? That depends on who you ask. Forbes is reporting inflation dropping, the potential for the Feds not raising interest rates, and the optimistic outlook for the stock market could help job seekers. But other experts have a different take.
I really believe that layoffs are coming. I think we've seen hours come down. We've seen hiring freezes.
Uncertainty may not be a deal breaker for job seekers looking to get out. Balke says the beginning of the year is a good time to look for a job.
January, February, March are really good job search months. It's the beginning of the year. Companies have new budgets. They're looking for talent.
Reporting in Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, a new center announced in D.C. to focus on monitoring and responding to crime in real time. How it works and why officials say it's a milestone. And an exclusive video that you're seeing first on Fox, a man robbed and carjacked in under a minute at his own house. The new details we're learning tonight about where it happened and how it took place.
A man robbed and carjacked in front of his own home in Baltimore City in under a minute. The exclusive video you're seeing first on Fox.
The criminals using rideshare apps to carjack unsuspecting victims. The troubling trend we're seeing across Baltimore.
Yes, but to be very clear, those items were not all my ideas.
Fox 45 News sitting down for an exclusive interview with Baltimore County Council Chair Julian Jones. His response to backlash surrounding his proposed amendments to weaken the office of the Inspector General.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 5.
First on Fox tonight, there's new video of another carjacking in Baltimore. Take a look. You can see the victim pull into his driveway late last night. Then from around the corner, a group of suspects pull up and block his exit almost instantly. The suspects then threaten him with what appears to be a gun, according to police. And in the video, you can hear the group demanding his phone and password before leaving. The whole incident happened in under a minute. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kai Jackson.
And I'm Mary Bubala. Tonight we're asking, where's the urgency from public officials as every day it seems a new story involving a car theft or a carjacking comes into our newsroom? The numbers we're seeing from Baltimore police tell that story. According to Baltimore police, so far this year, there have been 10,456 cars stolen across Baltimore. That's up 220% from this time last year. On top of those thefts, there have also been more than 520 carjackings.
Fox 45 News has heard from victims saying something needs to change. One of them shared her harrowing story of barely escaping when she says a group tried to force her out of her vehicle.
And the passenger exited the car quickly, sprinted up to my driver's side and pointed a gun at my head and said to exit the vehicle. I put the car in reverse and reversed basically as fast as I possibly could.
Well, that woman encountered that group in Roland Park over the weekend, but this isn't just a Baltimore issue. We've also heard similar stories from victims of carjackings in Baltimore County and Montgomery County as well. One woman from just near Baltimore told Fox 45 News she was walking between her home and car when she was beaten with a gun, had her vehicle stolen, and was left with a concussion.
And I saw a pistol in his hand. And he said, give me your keys, give me your keys. And I'm like, and the next thing I know, he hit me in the head and I went down. These kids don't have consequences. And that's what makes me very angry. And I am furious, and I'm going after these. I want to prosecute. I want to see some type of retribution.
Victims are also telling Fox 45 fear of getting carjacked or having their vehicle taken goes beyond just their physical safety. Many residents expressing fear, frustration, and stress about what happens after their car is taken.
It's not just property theft. It's not. If you don't own your home, your car is the most valuable thing that you probably own. And it's not a luxury. It's the way that you get your kids to school, that you go to your job.
I mean, these guys go around stealing these cars each and every day, tearing people's cars up, and we got to dig in our pockets for something that they done destructed. Right. It's not right.
I don't think if they understand the ripple effect of everything that they're doing. Like, you're not just stealing a car, you're stealing someone's safety, their sense of security.
Well, tonight we have team coverage on the crime crisis. Alexa Ashwell looks into the danger of rideshare apps and how teens are using them to pick their next targets.
But first, let's go to Mackenzie Frost with more on that carjacking video you're seeing first on Fox. Mackenzie?
Yeah, Mary and Kai, this video shows just how fast someone can get carjacked. And what we're uncovering is that this is really just one example of the crimes that we continue to see take place across the city. In less than 60 seconds, a South Baltimore man pulls into his driveway, and at the ready, carjackers are waiting for an opportunity to strike. A red car blocks the driver in and put what looks like a gun up to the window. Another person pulls the driver out of the car. Watch it again. The two suspects hop out of the backseat of the car and demand a code from the driver. Then, in just seconds, the two suspects drive away, leaving the victim seen with his hands on his head, distraught. The video is another example of the soaring car theft problem in Baltimore City, and this crime taking place in Senate President Bill Ferguson's district. Fox 45 News digging into the data from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. District 46 includes communities from Federal Hill through Locust Point, Canton to Bayview, and down through Cherry Hill to Curtis Bay. From 2022 to now, car thefts increasing 1 166%. But in Ferguson's Patterson Park neighborhood, car thefts are up more than 380%. Property crimes up 32%, and robberies increasing 31% this year compared to last.
What's very clear to me is we're going to fix this problem.
The Senate president confident in lawmakers' ability to address the problem impacting communities statewide.
Right now, we've got to send the message that to be very, very clear to young people, this can't continue. This will not continue.
But details on how to accomplish that goal are being held close to the chest by leadership.
You can only give out so many clubs to solve a problem.
Political analyst John Deedy argues criminals are strategic.
Obviously, these guys had it planned the way they did it.
And elected leaders don't have a choice but to find a way to turn the trend lines around.
Lawmakers are going to have to respond.
Until something changes in Annapolis, crimes like this one, turning this Baltimorean into another statistic, could continue.
Now, John Deedy says another person to watch during session is City State's Attorney Ivan Bates to see what proposals he's supporting. That's because Deedy says Bates is emerging as a leader when it comes to the crime fight. We're live in the newsroom. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. Last night, Baltimore police announced more juveniles were arrested for carjacking. 4 teens were taken into custody in connection to what police say is their role in an incident near Druid Hill Park. Now, kids have been a major contributor to the spike in car thefts in 2023. According to city police, juvenile car theft is up more than 166% over last year. A rideshare driver is recovering after investigators say a group of teens attacked and robbed him in West Baltimore.
Alexa Ashwell is here now in studio. Alexa, this is yet another example of young people using an app to commit crime.
Yes, Kai Mary, the victim of the Druid Hill carjacking is a rideshare driver. 2 of these 4 teens, police say, are just 14 years old. The victim, a 44-year-old man. Investigators say they used a rideshare app to gain access to the driver, assaulting him and then stealing his car in West Baltimore. It's the latest example of juveniles utilizing an app or website that offers a good or service in order to commit a crime. Just last week, a Pennsylvania teen was shot and killed in West Baltimore after investigators say he answered an ad for a car on Facebook Marketplace. Police have since arrested and charged Marquise Harris with his murder. And in another case, investigators say 3 teens pretended to want to buy a pair of shoes placed on the website OfferUp and instead robbed the seller in East Baltimore. In that case, police enlisted the help of the U.S. Marshals Service. The federal agency says they're receiving more cases involving wanted juveniles.
But whenever there's a situation where the person is presenting a threat to public safety, where their crimes directly influence people's decisions whether they want to leave the house or not, something has to be done, and that's why the United States Marshals Service is involved. We want to work with our local partners to take these violent individuals off the street, regardless of their age.
And just yesterday, one of the teens in that OfferUp ploy, we're told, was in fact arrested, 17 years old. And in the rideshare attack, police say the 4 teens were transported to the Department of Juvenile Services. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. That brings us to our question of the day. Have lawmakers waited too long to address the juvenile crime crisis? So far, 92% of those who voted say yes. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Breaking news tonight, the Maryland Department of Transportation is planning to suspend light rail service. So far, they've not revealed why they're making that change or the extent of the pause on service. We are waiting for MDOT to hold a news conference. That's set to start around 5:30, and Fox 45 will bring you that news conference live on air and online.
This advisory board would not have any authority over the Office of Inspector General?
They would have to. In the amendment, it said that she would have to get approval from them before she publishes any reports.
I'm not sure. I would have to look at that one. Maybe you're right.
In an exclusive interview you're seeing first on Fox, Council Chair Julian Jones discussing his leaked amendments that would weaken the Office of the Inspector General.
That's right. Now, if passed, the policies would limit the watchdog's funding, operation, and ability to publish reports.
Today, Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor pressing the county chair on why he's proposing these last-minute changes.
It's outrageous.
It's outrageous.
Neither she nor this administration were made aware of these amendments.
The Baltimore County executive and IG blindsided by this leaked list of amendments they say Julian Jones made no mention of before Monday night's county council meeting. A vote was scheduled to finalize these long-awaited bills, solidifying the IG's office as a permanent position in the county. But at the last second, Jones making a motion to delay the vote for 2 weeks, allowing for any amendments to be reviewed by the public.
If those amendments are placed, I will place them on the website. Everyone will see them. We will send them to the Office of Inspector General. Right now, they were just ideas. They were not amendments.
You're saying you want to give the public time to weigh in on these proposals.
Yes.
But you'll only be giving them, at this point, even if you propose them today, it would be less than 2 weeks that they would have to look over them.
Yes.
Is that enough time?
I think it's enough time.
Less than 2 weeks to review changes to a bill 2 years in the making. Baltimore County spending $100,000 taxpayer dollars for the Blue Ribbon Commission to create this list of IG best practices following months of strenuous research.
At the last minute, you proposed amendments that go against those recommendations. Can you explain where those amendments came from?
Okay, so first of all, the only thing that happened Monday night was we postponed the bill. That's not unusual. We postponed a lot of bills.
You did write out a list of amendments, and you were the only council person to do so, correct?
Yes, but to be very clear, those items were not all my ideas.
So whose ideas
were
they?
Chairman, there was a compilation between myself, other members, stakeholders.
Other members of the county council?
Other members of the county council.
Which members?
Stakeholders. I'm not going to get into all the conversations that I've had with all the members, but what I'm saying to you is it's my responsibility to put those things in writing.
Included in the leaked amendments, the ability for any county employee who comes in contact with the IG to be able to request reimbursement for lawyer fees.
I know of a case, and I'm not going to use the lady's name, where the policies of the Inspector General caused her to be very fearful for her job. As it turns out, I think she was just a witness. They wanted to talk to her.
So she didn't even need the attorney?
Right, she didn't need the attorney.
So then I guess why should taxpayers have to pay for that?
Well, it's not a guarantee that we would. It's right now, today, there's no mechanism in county government for that to happen.
The amendments would also weaken the subpoena powers of the IG, blocking them from being able to subpoena private citizens in connection to government investigations, a power the Blue Ribbon Commission found to be a vital tool for the IG's office.
We're talking private records. We're talking cell phones. We're talking text messages, email exchanges, things that are outside of Baltimore County.
And severely compromising the IG's ability to publish any and all investigations, Jones is proposing an advisory board made up of mostly government officials be created to review the opening of any investigations, review the reports, and approve the reports before information can be released to the public.
This advisory board would not have any authority over the Office of Inspector General.
In the amendment, it said that she would have to get approval from them before she publishes any reports.
I'm not sure. I would have to look at that one. Maybe you're right.
Again, the Blue Ribbon Commission, that so much money was poured into them. Yes. Why propose these recommendations that don't match up with theirs?
We took their product. 98% of it is in the bills, and we're just making some tweaks because that's our job.
Now, it's important to note that Jones has been the subject of 2 IG investigations himself. Today, I pressed him on if this is part of the reason he created these amendments. Hear what he had to say in our full story coming up tonight at 10. But for now, reporting live in the control room, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Rebecca, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 5 o'clock, more than 30 lawmakers in Congress say they won't run for re-election in 2024. Why experts say this is a normal trend during election season.
And after the break, the Israel-Hamas war is expected to be back up for debate at City Hall tonight. The information Fox 45 is learning about a potential new resolution.
And we are getting ready for a cold night as temperatures fall to the upper 20s and low 30s. But for the weekend, we're getting ready for warmer temperatures. I'll let you know just how high the numbers get and when to expect rain in my Weather Authority forecast.
Fox 45 continues our coverage over the war in the Middle East. New video shows heavy gunfire at a refugee camp in northern Gaza. Officials say it has left behind catastrophic damage, killing a large number of people. Meanwhile, in southern Gaza, clashes and Israeli strikes are reportedly continuing in Gaza's second largest city. Israel's prime minister says the military had encircled the house of a Hamas leader in the territory. The military also claiming that 5 senior Hamas military officials have been killed. And the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says President Biden's top priority is to secure the American hostages still being held by Hamas.
We're at this every single day, and it's my number one responsibility. I know the president feels this, his number one responsibility, to look out for any American who's in harm's way abroad, and especially those who are being held hostage, being held captive in some way.
And here in Baltimore, the topic of the Israel-Hamas war is expected to be back up for debate at City Hall.
Fox 45's Amy Simpson live at City Hall, where tonight's council meeting is just getting underway. Amy?
Yes, well, it's not officially on tonight's agenda. I'm told a new resolution on the Israel-Hamas war will be introduced.
After disruptions from protesters and a failed resolution at City Hall Monday night.
The resolution fails for immediate adoption.
The topic of the Israel-Hamas war will be back inside Baltimore City Council chambers tonight. Councilwomen Felicia Porter and Odette Ramos confirmed to Fox 45 News they'll be sponsoring a new resolution alongside Councilman Christopher Burnett and Ryan Dorsey. They're the 4 who abstained from voting on Councilman Isaac Yitzi Schleifer's resolution Monday night. which called to condemn the Hamas terrorist attack and anti-Semitism.
I was asking my colleagues to condemn the terrorist attack that occurred on October 7th, where 1,200 plus Jews were killed, decapitated, murdered, raped for simply just being Jewish. And the second thing it called for was just to condemn anti-Semitism. Two simple things.
But Porter and Ramos indicate tonight's resolution will have a different message, calling to condemn the terrorist attack, but also condemn both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Those four officials defended their decision to sit out of Monday's vote, claiming the measure was last minute, didn't follow legislative protocol, and failed to condemn hate on all sides of the conflict. But Schleifer claimed his measure did condemn all forms of hate.
It's just shocking that in the year 2023, that anybody has a hard time condemning terrorist attacks and hate against anybody.
Also calling the failed vote a double standard Monday night.
This is the double standard that we have grown to live with our entire life.
Pointing out City Council unanimously passed a resolution to condemn terrorist attacks on mosques in New Zealand just 4 years ago. Tonight, the polarizing topic of a war happening nearly 6,000 miles away, setting the stage for more potential clashes inside City Hall.
And speaking to Councilwomen Porter and Ramos off camera today here at City Hall, I asked them, will this new resolution have support to pass? And their response, we don't know. We're live at City Hall. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Amy, thank you. Growing backlash following the testimony from some university presidents at a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism on their campuses. And now reports say the University of Pennsylvania's Board of Trustees is holding an emergency meeting after the university's president told Congress that some students calling for the genocide of Jewish people only violates their school's code of conduct sometimes. The president calling it a context-directed decision. President McGill addressing the backlash over her testimony in a new video.
I was not focused on, but I should have been, the irrefutable fact that a call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
Well, yesterday, Sinclair asked viewers across our nation, do you think the presidents of Harvard, UPenn, and MIT should resign over their handling of anti-Semitic protests on their campuses? More than 7,300 people answered that poll. 85% said yes.
It's been a chilly day and still seeing those cool temperatures, but a beautiful sunset currently over Baltimore. It's still pretty cloudy outside with temperatures around 45. The wind chill coming in a couple degrees lower, and around the state pretty much the same. We're seeing mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the mid-40s. A couple spots now in the upper 30s. Bel Air and Elkton, two of the cooler spots on the map, but all of us will be in for a nice warm up over the weekend. We're nice and dry right now. We had a couple of very isolated showers across the state. Now it's mostly dry over Maryland and will remain nice and dry at least through Saturday. Tonight, temperatures will drop to the 20s and 30s. Many of us waking up to temperatures just hovering above freezing. And then for the afternoon, a very nice warm up as temperatures rise to 56, well above average for this time of year. And that warm trend continues all weekend long. 57 on Saturday, and then we're looking at the mid-60s on Sunday. However, that will be when we have the chance for showers across the state. So tonight, clouds will gradually clear, and we'll start with plenty of sunshine tomorrow. Then by the afternoon, lots of sunshine as high temperatures reach the 50s and possibly the 60s. Then we're looking at a few more clouds to start off Saturday morning. Temperatures will be a little more mild in the 40s. By the afternoon, a mix of sunshine and clouds. We'll stay mostly dry with temperatures in the upper 50s and low 60s. An isolated shower can't be ruled out overnight, but it's later on Sunday into the afternoon and evening when that rain begins to move over the state. There could be a couple of areas, moderate, even heavy rain, so make sure that you'll be driving safely if you'll be on the roads. We could have a few lingering showers for Monday morning, but by the afternoon, we're back to dry weather, and we'll stay dry through the middle of the upcoming work week. Temperatures tonight fall to 33 with gradual clearing and light winds. Then tomorrow, highs will be around 56, keeping us above average for this time of year. We're looking at highs in the upper 50s again on Saturday. And then for Sunday, we finish the weekend in the mid-60s. However, we'll have rain throughout the day and breezy conditions. Behind that weather maker, cooler temperatures to start the work week on Monday. 48 for the high. It'll be breezy at times. Then we're looking at 49 on Tuesday. And for Wednesday and Thursday, temperatures will be a little more seasonable with highs around 51. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. A substitute teacher says Baltimore County Schools ruined her reputation, keeping her out of the classroom for more than 5 years. The mistakes she claims they made and refuses to correct.
I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with a look at why so many leaders are leaving Congress.
Dozens of leaders are set to leave Congress in 2024. So far, more than 30 lawmakers have said they won't be seeking re-election. National correspondent Janae Bowens explains the reasons for the departures.
It seems just about every week a member announces they're leaving Congress. So far, 37 members announced they would not seek re-election in 2024. Some are running for other political offices. On top of that, 9 leaders, like former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and former Congressman George Santos, are leaving or were kicked out before their terms ended.
There is a mental, there's a physical, emotional, even a spiritual exhaustion because of just all the different things you've got to keep up, the constant fundraising, all the different meetings.
Former Congressman Mark Walker, who I used to do communications for, served for 6 years. He's looking to get reelected, but he admits serving in Congress is tough.
When you're around the holidays and you're getting to spend time with your family and some of them for grandkids, and you're missing those days, sometimes 3 out of 4 weeks, you start to think and say, look, maybe I can find another place to serve, or maybe I've done my time.
The number sounds like a lot, but the Bipartisan Policy Center's Director of Structural Democracy, Michael Thorning, says this is normal. According to Ballopedia, he's right. In 2022, 55 members did not seek re-election, plus 16 left early. In 2020, 40 did not seek re-election, and 12 left early.
I do think there is a general sentiment that
members are unsatisfied with the job. They're unsatisfied with the lack of civility in the chamber, and they just don't see the job as worth the costs.
Thorning also says we should expect more retirement announcements in the coming weeks. In Washington, I'm Janae Bowens.
A new crime center in D.C. that officials say will monitor crime in real time. How it works and the agency's partnering up on the project.
I'm Christine Frizzell in Washington, where there are new worries about the sales of electric vehicles and the infrastructure meant to support them.
Now we're following three big stories at 5:30. New worries over whether or not America is ready for a fully electric country. The controversy surrounding a rule approved this week by the Biden administration.
A Baltimore County substitute teacher put on the do not use list without her knowledge, costing her thousands of dollars in potential income. Why she says the school system isn't being truthful.
And a new center just announced in Washington, D.C. that's promising to monitor and respond to crime in real time.
And that's where we begin tonight. That new hub would include local, regional, and federal law enforcement.
Right. The partnership is expected to help reduce the surge in violence across the nation's capital. Tom Rousey with our Sinclair sister station in Washington has more on that new center.
When you're in a large city like Baltimore or here in Washington, D.C., when you look around, well, you don't have to look very far and you will notice cameras everywhere. Well, police are getting together throughout the D.C. region to monitor some of those cameras in an effort to fight crime, and it's starting soon.
What we are talking about today is the Real-Time Crime Center.
D.C. police tell me this area behind where today's press conference was held will be converted into the center, which will open in February. So what is it exactly? Well, it's a place where 24 hours a day there will be police officers and employees
That will be constantly monitoring and responding to criminal activities in real time.
And it won't just be D.C. police up here at all hours monitoring cameras and crime. At least some of the time there will be police from other local departments like Montgomery County, Prince George's, Fairfax County, and Arlington. Also Metro Transit Police, plus some federal agencies like U.S. Capitol Police.
So what does this give you by including others that you can't do now?
What it gives me is certainly the opportunity to really, the collaboration, right? And then the opportunity for us to really have a space and place where we are collaborating in real time.
Now again, here in D.C., this is expected to start in February. As far as the cost, the police chief said she didn't know that yet. She said some things are still being worked out. Another thing being worked out is the staffing. She wouldn't comment on D.C.'s staffing, but it's unclear yet just how often some of the other agencies will be in that room. Some could be there 24 hours a day, others possibly just part of the day or part of the week. Reporting in Washington, D.C. for Fox 45 News, I'm Tom Rousey.
And the new crime center comes after Mayor Muriel Bowser declared a public emergency on juvenile crime, allowing the city to increase its youth violence response. Fox 45 News pressed Mayor Brandon Scott and some of his mayoral challengers for 2024 on whether a similar strategy should be implemented in Baltimore.
Let's remember, everybody, that D.C. is a city that's governed differently than ours and any other city in the country. Essentially, D.C. is a city and a state at the same time. They control a whole manner of juvenile systems that we don't, because we have the fabulous state of Maryland, like juvenile service, like social service, like CPS. All of those things are not under the preview of the mayor.
It's gotten out of control, and we've waited so long before we started dealing with this sooner, which we should have when we saw a trend. When we saw 5 cars being stolen or 5 carjacks, we should have gotten on it and figured out what we needed to do to stop it.
It's just reaching a point now where people in our city feel unsafe.
Last month, we asked you if Baltimore should declare a state of emergency on juvenile crime. 93% of people who voted said yes. We are following breaking news. The Maryland Department of Transportation holding a press conference right now to address its decision to suspend light rail service. Let's listen in.
The safety risk assessment is an essential process within a transit agency's safety management system for identifying hazards and analyzing, assessing, and mitigating safety risk. Per the safety risk assessment, the risk level for this particular issue at that time was identified to be a medium level, which requires mitigation but dictates that the risk level is acceptable to continue operation. The second issue is related to the piece of machinery that connects the 2 sections of our light rail cars, called the inter-car connector cable, which has caused 6 smoke events between November 2021 and November 2023, including 3 in the past 4 months. MTA and Alstom have also been reviewing this issue and have completed a safety risk assessment. That safety risk assessment's also identified this issue to be a medium level, which again requires mitigation but remains an acceptable level of risk. Since the first issue, the fire event on October 21st, MTA and Alstom have continued to inspect vehicles to determine a root cause of that issue. The initial inspections of trim screws located over the high voltage conduit, which had been a suspected cause, showed no warning signs, punctures, or aberrations. Following those inspections, electrical testing was undertaken, which suggested that the individual car was at fault rather than a system-wide issue. Over the month of November, Alstom continued to investigate root cause and developed a visual inspection plan. This past Monday, December 4th, the prior electrical testing was invalidated based on the visual inspections that revealed conduit issues. This elevated concern and indicated the need for a full fleet visual inspection. On Tuesday, December 5th, MTA began the process of updating our safety risk assessment and developed a repair for both issues with Alstom. While the risk level remains acceptable, we're taking action out of an abundance of caution and in order to facilitate an expedited inspection and repair of the fleet. We will be implementing shuttle bus service at all light rail stops effective at start of service tomorrow, and we will begin immediately inspecting and repairing the fleet. As soon as we have enough cars available to provide a minimal level of service, approximately 30 to 40 minute headways, we will implement that schedule. As additional cars are inspected and repaired, they will be phased in to increase service levels. We will return to our full service levels when we have 19 rail cars available. I want to note that our progress will be dependent on inspection results and contractor and material availability. We'll provide updates regularly via our website and social media to keep our riders apprised. And I again want to let our riders know we understand what a significant impact this will have, and we're going to work to mitigate those impacts where possible. The safety of our riders is paramount, and we must act with that in mind. So thank you, and my team and I are available to answer any questions you may have.
How much did the budget cuts have to do with this suspension?
This issue is not related to the budget.
All right, we are looking at a live press conference, MDOT announcing the light rail is going to be suspended for an undefined amount of time. They have found some issues with light rail cars. They've done testing and studies, and they have determined it is not safe to put passengers on there right now until they do some maintenance. And they're doing this out of an abundance of caution.
That's right. That's MTA Administrator Holly Arnold. And what she said was there's some issue with a connector cable between the cars. I don't know exactly. I can imagine what it is, right. But I don't know what the problem is. They've had some problem, but they're not sure how widespread this is. So what she said, they're going to start that work tomorrow. When they have 19 cars available, ready to go, they'll put this back in service. But
we don't know when that will be.
We don't know when that's going to be. And there are thousands of people across this region that rely on light rail service for transportation to get to work, to get to jobs. We have the Ravens game. We've got the Ravens game for commuting. So this is a really big deal, folks. There's a lot to kind of sort out here.
They are putting buses in service. We'll see how much that bridged the gap for a lot of commuters and people who need this public transportation. We will have a full wrap-up tonight on Fox 45 News at 10 and some more at least tonight at 6.
A Baltimore County substitute teacher says her reputation has been damaged, costing her, she says, thousands of dollars in lost income.
And as Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, this teacher says the school system made a mistake it won't correct.
Jen Reedholm sat down with Project Baltimore.
Yeah.
Because she's out of options.
I don't know why I can't get a straight answer.
For 6 years, she's been fighting to clear her name.
There's an incident attached to me that doesn't belong to me.
A fight against her own employer, Baltimore County Public Schools.
That makes no sense. But Baltimore County Schools doesn't seem to make a lot of sense most of the time.
Reedholm began substitute teaching for BCPS in 2017. Specifically, she wanted to work at Warren Elementary in Cockeysville, her community school, where her own children went.
It was in my neighborhood. I knew the community, I knew the children, I knew the teachers.
Warren Elementary, like many schools, struggles to find substitute teachers, and Reedholm wanted to help. But after getting her teaching certificate, she noticed she wasn't getting any job opportunities at Warren. Not understanding why, she started asking questions and learned her name was on the Do Not Use list.
What did you think when you found out that you were on the Do Not Use list?
I didn't know what to think. I just wanted to know why. Why would I be on such a list? I mean, what could I have done ever?
For the next 5 years, Reedholm tried multiple times to have her name removed, but all of her attempts failed because the initial principal who put her on the list in 2017 left the school. And each principal since has relied on that 2017 account of what happened. Finally, in October 2022, Reedholm learned why she was put on the list in the first place when she received this letter from BCPS Central Office. The letter described an unsafe incident that occurred. According to the letter, she left a class she was responsible for unattended while working at Warren Elementary. But Reedholm says that never happened. It's impossible. For one reason.
I never substituted at the school, and I have proof.
The district has not told Reedholm the exact date of the alleged incident, making it more difficult for her to disprove. But this is Reedholm's online employment history. And you can see, according to BCPS's own records, she never worked at Warren Elementary.
What do you want?
I want my record cleared, and I want